Bear Independent Brief, 13 August 25. Australia will formally announce its recognition of a Palestinian state when the UN General Assembly meets in September, which shows a significant shift in diplomatic positioning. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated that, quote, a two-state solution is humanity's best hope to break the cycle of violence in the Middle East and to bring an end to the conflict, suffering, and starvation in Gaza, end quote. For commentary, tune in to Bear and Friends later this morning. It's White Girl Wednesday, and I have a lot of thoughts on this. This move puts Australia alongside Canada, France, and the United Kingdom, which are also preparing similar recognition announcements. The decision has drawn sharp criticism from Israel, and created domestic political tensions, while Australia's opposition Liberal Party leader, Susan Ley, argued, quote, it puts Australia at odds with the United States, its closest ally. A liberal with a couple of brain cells, look at that. Australia's recognition comes with conditions tied to commitments from the Palestinian Authority. All politics comes with conditions, including reaffirming that it, quote, recognizes Israel's right to exist in peace and security, end quote, and committing to, quote, demilitarize and to hold general elections, end quote. The move follows massive protests across Australia, with hundreds of thousands marching across Sydney Harbour Bridge to protest Israel's military campaign. They let people out of their homes for that, but when the whole world got the flu, no, Australia went full-blown tyranny. That's interesting. Meanwhile, European leaders are scrambling to protect their interests as President Trump prepares for a summit with Vladimir Putin this week. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been excluded from the U.S.-Russia talks in Alaska, raising concerns that territorial concessions might be negotiated without Ukraine's input. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz organized emergency meetings for Wednesday, inviting Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Zelensky, and several European leaders to discuss further options for action to put pressure on Russia, quote, and preparations for possible peace negotiations. These talks were Zoom calls, or the governmental equivalent thereof. Hopefully not Microsoft Teams meetings. Ew. Trump has indicated that territorial exchanges are likely, telling reporters there would be, quote, some land swapping, a little bit of land swapping going on, and describing it as good stuff, not bad stuff, very good stuff. European allies are forming what they're calling a coalition of the willing, countries ready to deploy troops to Ukraine to police any future peace agreement. Okay, so we've killed all the young men in Ukraine, we've killed most of the young men from Russia, so now let's kill all the young men from Europe too. That's a great idea. Right, commentary will be later today on the Bear and Friends show. Stay tuned. Countries are ready to deploy troops to Ukraine to police any future peace agreement. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk stressed that, quote, state borders cannot be changed by force. Yes, they can, and they have been throughout the history of mankind, including the Polish state borders, which have been changed by force a dozen times, at least. Quote, end quote, and any peace terms, quote, must be agreed upon with Ukraine's participation. In Gaza, not only are tensions escalating further after Israel killed 5 Al Jazeera journalists in a targeted attack and claimed they were terrorists, and they probably were, because look at the genesis of Al Jazeera, but financial pressure is mounting as well. Norway's $2 trillion oil fund sold out of 11 Israeli companies and cut ties with Israeli fund managers in response to public pressure over its investment in companies supporting Israel's military operation. Fund CEO Nikolai Tangin explained that, quote, We are invested in companies that operate in a country at war, and conditions in the West Bank and Gaza have recently worsened, end quote. Norwegian Finance Minister Jens Stoltenberg. Oh, there's Jens Stoltenberg. Remember when Jens Stoltenberg was the UN Secretary General? Now he's just the Norwegian Finance Minister. This guy gets around. Indicated that there would be, quote, further discussions coming, though he clarified the fund was, quote, withdrawing from companies that are contributing to state violations of international law. Yes, I know I need to work on my Norwegian accent. I apologize. It's been a while. But they are not withdrawing from Israeli companies just because they are Israeli. No, it sure looks that way, Jens. In short, recent developments show that regional conflicts are shaping international alliances. This is forcing nations to choose sides in ways that could have lasting consequences for global stability and economic relationships. Primarily the economic relationships of Sweden, whose top two exports are meatballs and melodic death metal. Show, as always, brought to you by this company right here, refugemedical.com. Made in America, guaranteed forever. 150 lives saved to date. Not the cheapest, the best. Upcoming training dates. There are 2 dates left for Wilderness Responder, or 2 slots left for Wilderness Responder. It will sell out. I strongly encourage you, don't be an ass. Come to class. I'll see you on the long form show here in a couple hours. Y'all have a blessed day, everybody. Shalom.